The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill. A breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help. Just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Schaap. You may know me from ESPN's Outside the Lines and Sports Center. What you probably don't know is that I've suffered from Crohn's disease for almost 20 years. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation of America's Take Steps, Be Heard walk program is the largest national walk program dedicated to raising funds and awareness to combat Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. To learn more about how you can help and to find a walk site near you, please visit www.cctakesteps.org.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes more, and thick, poisonous smoke may have filled your lungs and reduced your ability to respond. Give it 5, and your entire home may be filled with flames.
Keep breathing. We've got you.
Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov, because fire is everyone's fight.
Have you mixed your pain meds, your sleep meds, your allergy meds? Call the Poison Helpline. Has your child eaten a tube of toothpaste, a chip of paint, a wild mushroom? Call the Poison Helpline. Have you been bitten by a spider, a snake, an insect? Call the Poison Helpline. Poisonings can happen at the home, on the job, or in the great outdoors. Call the Poison Helpline first for fast, free advice from medical professionals. Call 1-800-222-1222 anytime, anywhere. 1-800-222-1222. Save the number, save a life. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all, the few, the proud, the Marines.
Hi, I'm Hillary Duff. As a mom, I'm proud to support the March of Dimes in helping more women have full-term pregnancies and healthy babies. That's why I walk in March for Babies. The money we raise funds research and local programs that help babies overcome the challenges of premature birth and birth defects. Sign up today at marchforbabies.org. Together, we can help make healthier babies possible for thousands of families.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Studio located somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire. It's Rod Eccles.
And a good Tuesday morning to you, liberty lovers and ecclesiastites all across the globe. Yes, it is Tuesday, June number 20 in the year of our Lord 2017. Call-in number this morning is 603-835-3226. Glad that you are all here. Do apologize for not being able to be here yesterday morning. It was an unplanned absence, I must say. I had to call in, as it were. Family obligations take precedence over the program, unfortunately, and I was unable to get to the microphone. I mean, if I had the microphone with me, I probably could have broadcast, but I was not expecting to miss yesterday. So, in any case, all is well on the home front. So, for those of you, thank you for your well wishes and concerns. Everybody is healthy and well, not wealthy, but everybody's healthy and wise, at least, anyway. We got the Georgia thing going on today. Georgia special election. I mean, this. Are you kidding me? For a House seat, over $50 million has been spent. More than half of that on the Democrat side, by the way, by the young man. You know, people, you gotta stop voting for people on how they look. I had some woman tell me that, well, he's just so damn cute. Why wouldn't you vote for him? Well, because he's an asshat. I don't care how cute he is. I don't care how handsome you think John Ossoff is. He's an asshat. He doesn't even live in the district. So now we're just I guess all the politicians should be celebrities. You know, I mean, might as well be if all you're going to do is vote for how well they dress or how cute they are. I mean, this is seriously. I wanted to, I really did want to smack her. I wanted to slap her, like the original Airplane movie. You know, the woman is freaking out, and they're all lining up in the aisle of the aircraft trying to smack some sense into her. Well, that's how I feel sometimes with a liberal. By the way, liberals, you know what? You can try to flood my stream all you want to with bad memes, but bad memes are just like shouting. You know, the louder you get, people think people. I love this part. There are some people, we call them dirtbags. They think that the louder they scream, the better parents they are when they're yelling at their kids. That's not the case. This is the same thing with memes. The more useless, inane memes that you use, the less people are going to believe your argument. Because your memes they don't give you anything. Memes are just memes. They rarely give you actual facts. They're purposefully one-sided. So knock off with the memes and just give me some real facts here. But the problem is the reason why you gotta load up on memes is because you don't have any facts. Really, you don't. That's a good sign when somebody, if you post one or two memes in an argument, in a discussion, that's fine. But when you post like 20, really, you don't have another cognizant thought. Well, we're gonna cover some of that. We'll cover some of that if we get into the details. Plus, we got this thing with there is somebody out there, folks. I'm not kidding. They think the founder of Ford, Henry Ford, was a fascist. I kid you not. All this stuff is. I have no idea. These people don't even know what the word fascist means. They don't. I mean, when they're out there telling you that you're not allowed to speak because you're a fascist, well, isn't that acting like a fascist, controlling the speech of others? Yeah. I mean, that's the very definition of it. Oh my goodness! I just said, any case, we got some early people calling in on the line here. Let's see if we can bring them on board. Good morning, my darling. 731. How are you?
Oh, hey. Well, you know what? I was listening to you. This is what I have to say about the left. They are so desperate to destroy President Trump that they are prepared to take down the whole country with their hate. And when I'm telling you, that's facts. That's facts. And when I look at this, you're talking about this guru in Georgia. That's nothing short of a parachute, drop them in. That guy is from California. What in the hell does he need to be doing in Georgia except that they're trying to finish their deed? And I'm so tired of them. And I said I had some gripes. This Jeff Bezos from Amazon, he buys what? Whole Foods. Guess what, Whole Foods? I'll never graze the door of your store again. And for $18 trillion, no less. And it is said in a study I read yesterday that they plan within 10 years that Amazon or Bezos will have 20% of the grocery market in 10 years. Now, I worked at Kroger when I was a young girl, checking groceries, and there's not a huge margin of profit in grocery stores.
No, if you get in and out of it every year with, what is it, like 3%, you're doing good.
I actually read yesterday where it's 1%, that Kroger is struggling, and Target is struggling, and they named another one, but I didn't put that in my long-term memory. But what happens, guys? Because how's he going to deliver our groceries? Via drone?
Well, yeah.
What happens when you can't get groceries?
Look, everything is good. We're turning into a brave new world here right before our eyes. I mean, I got a story here in the paper pile where, everything's going drones and driverless. Well,
yeah,
Boeing is
on my list. That's exactly right.
Boeing is about to test pilotless aircraft. So you could be boarding a jet plane sometime in the near future, and there is no pilot. But
so what do you think? Okay, what are people thinking? Because pilots make a lot of money from what I understand. So
well, they're claiming, with all these wonderful snowflakes that are looking for a job, what Boeing and a bunch of the airlines are saying right now is that there is a pilot shortage. Well, how about people learn how to fly then and get a job being a pilot? I mean, I know being a pilot, for the airlines can be boring, but they're not bad paying jobs. They are pretty good paying jobs. But there's a pilot shortage? So
and you know what? That's because the universities are a joke. The education that kids are getting these days is a joke. They can't spell or add when they get out of school. So that's a joke. So you have the grocery stores, you're going to have Jeff Bezos delivering our milk, and you're going to have robots doing that. So, okay, snowflakes, there you go. You can't even get a job while you're in your communist school district. I mean, this is a slippery slope, people. You look at the retail market. What has Amazon done to the retail market? And by the way, everybody listening to this needs to research how much tax money was used to subsidize Amazon before they were about to take a dive. So basically, Amazon's nothing but a government-run business. So the government wants to be responsible for the food you put in your mouth. They don't want you to drive a car. They want you to stay at home because you're not going to have a job. So take that and suck on that for a little while.
Yeah, I'm going to cover this whole driverless, humanless interaction stuff at the break because it has a lot to do with Bezos. But the funny thing is
it has a lot to do with government. But I will tell you this. Since there won't be no jobs, everybody can stay at home, and Google and Facebook can take them a vacation every now and then because it'll be easier to follow us around.
We're heading towards the movie Wall-E. Anybody remember Wall-E, what humans did in their spacecraft up there? They did nothing.
Yeah, that's what we're going to be doing, nothing, because there's going to be no jobs. And this is right out of the communist Zelensky book. I mean, and I called him one day and gave all those 8 or 10 things that they do for preparing us. Well, you know what, guys? We're about at number 9. And I noticed that I saw this morning where Judicial Watch had requested the FISA papers for our Obama criminal administration. They sent all their documents, all their emails, all their cracked phones or their BlackBerries. Guess where they sent them? To the library under construction.
Well, hey, who's going to look there, right? That's full of security. There's no holes there at all.
I mean, you could just go on for days and days. But I'm here to tell you guys, you better get on. You can go on the computer. You can Google everybody in your district, everybody in your state, and you better give them a call. And, I mean, you need to call them because they just delete your emails. Call them. Try to talk to somebody. If you can't talk to them, leave them a message. Go on Rod's Facebook and listen to what I've said today. You better call because Donald Trump can't do this by himself. This is a war, and they want this war. And you know what? They have the media to win it for them. So you know what? You may think your job's the most important thing today, but it isn't. This is the most important thing you can do today.
Yeah, and if you're in that district in Georgia, that's Newt Gingrich.
You better be out voting. You better vote that idiot out because you got to take into consideration they cheat. They cheat their ass off. So there's dead people voting and
well, we just got
voting.
You should be my co-host because here I got another story here in the paper pile. And this actually, I got wind of this because of Superfan Dom. It looks like 2008 election. Over 5 million.
Oh, yeah.
illegal votes. So, I mean, well, is that why McCain is so grumpy? Because
That's
he knew?
Arizona, you better believe it. You know what?
He knew that he should have been president and not Obama because Obama cheated.
Yeah, but McCain didn't really care. He did us an injustice. I can't stand him for that very reason. He's a wimp and a weenie. We should have, and you know that in 2012, Obama, he couldn't win the doghouse, but they cheat. And so I'm telling you, every that can drag their butt to that vote, they better go vote, because they want to win this so bad they can taste it, because then they can say, oh, Donald Trump's in trouble. You know what? No, we're in trouble, folks. We're in trouble. And you can take it upon yourself to do something, or you can sit on your butt and complain.
In an alternate universe, I think that we made a mistake by electing Obama, because we could have elected McCain, got him out of the way, and he'd be gone now. Obama wouldn't be around either, but neither would McCain. If we just elected McCain back in 2008, we'd be rid of him by now. We would have had
Sarah Palin, who I think is pro-country. We would have had her, because the only reason I say that's because the media went after her so bad. And I did be honest, I don't know that much about her, but I do think she's a patriot, and that's a hell of a lot better than what we got with Obama, because you know what? He's brought in a 300,000, and get this, listen to me good, guys, 300,000 illegal army to fight you. And Rod, you listen to this, and you go back and look at Fox News at the 6 o'clock hour last night, and listen to the conservative who says, well, I think things are getting out of hand. We need to get the UN involved in this.
Oh, good grief. Keep the UN.
I went crazy.
Need to kick the UN out. I will say this. I got to run, though, because it's time to take the break. But I will say this about Sarah Palin. Now, not that I pay attention to this kind of stuff, but if people are always want to go by with who's better looking, I think Todd would have been a better first hunk than Bill Clinton, and he's better looking than this ass off guy.
Oh, he is. And I love it because he's athletic, so I like that.
That too. He's more mature.
Yes. Okay, thanks. Well, listen, have a good day. I'll be listening, and we'll be in touch.
All right.
Oh, and listen, I'm going to be coming to New Hampshire next month.
Oh, well, then, geez, and you got to...
we need to get in touch. I'm going to be there next month. I'm going to visit my little godchild.
All right. Well, definitely, we'll have lunch.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We'll be back. Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to me, your lovable host, Rod, here on The Rod Eccles Show.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
And now a message from our sponsor. Ladies, tired of drying your hair with the same old vacuum cleaner? Try Avon Shave brand new Beauty Locks portable hair dryer. It's smaller, it's faster, it's guaranteed to give you the hair you've always wanted in half the time. Beauty Locks is delicate and dainty, just like you. The dryer weighs only a pound and easily fits in your hand. Now that's beauty and convenience. With a speedy motor that will dry your hair in as little as 25 minutes, you can get gorgeous hair without falling behind schedule. Don't worry about the little ones or that pie in the oven. Thanks to an extra-long extension cord, you can move around while primping your locks. Forget those long trips to the salon and no more waiting for hours under monster machines. Avon Shea gives you an easy and speedy hairdo that will blow your man away. Get it now at your nearest Macy's.
You're listening to The Rod Eccles Show. Let truth be told.
Snowflakes, or the unemployed or underemployed, listen up. There is someone out there that is hiring. If you have a valid driver's license, and you don't even need a CDL, but if you do have a CDL, you can have you have the opportunity to make even more. There is a company out there that's well established, that pays well, pays on time, and a lot of people are making a lot of money driving. And I'm not talking about Uber this time, folks, but you can still make money with Uber. But this is Quality Drive Away. Quality Drive Away, what they do is they deliver all those wonderful large vehicles that can't be put on a car carrier, such as school buses and RVs. If you want to travel the country, delivering these things to their end destination or to other dealerships, you can make a lot of money doing this. Now, I was turned on to Quality Drive Away. Now, obviously, I can't do this type of a job because I'd never be able to be on the radio show. But if you don't mind traveling, if you like to travel, like to see the country, like to control your own schedule, you may want to look into QualityDriveAway.com. They've got locations all over the country. You can travel USA and Canada. So even if you're a Canadian, one of my Canadian friends listening, this might be something for you if you want to change your career, if you want to have more control over your schedule. There's a gentleman who made 6 figures last year by working 2 months on, 1 month off. How'd you like to make 6 figures and only work 9 months out of the year? And you don't even have to be a school teacher. Check it out, QualityDriveAway.com. There is one of the things that I found out about liberals is it doesn't really, well, let me put it to you this way. We have all these wonderful conspiracy theories out there about mind control, the chemtrails up in the sky, the fluoride in our water, and the HAARP signals out of in Alaska, and who knows, God knows what else is out there for mind control. Well, if mind control were actually real from the government, then the Democrats wouldn't be losing. Because they wouldn't be losing. So obviously the problem is not mind control. The problem is that we have a big problem with our lamestream media. Don't doubt me, folks, because whenever I'm talking to somebody, even within my own family, the only information they have is what they see on lamestream media TV news. That's it. This country's biggest problem is not the liberal left as far as the politics are concerned, the Democrat Party. No, that's not our biggest problem. We've taken care of the Democrat Party, believe it or not. Our biggest problem, believe it or not, and of course, if you listen to this show on a regular basis, you know I'm telling you the truth. Our biggest problem is the lamestream media. They're a bunch of lying sacks of you-know-what.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
603-835-3226. Thank you all for being here. You know, I got I got a direct message on Facebook that I got this morning, and I don't know how old this gentleman is, but he was. I'm gonna believe that he was being half facetious about it, but he was kind of. No, it wasn't Super Van Damme. But he was kind of upset that I took an unscheduled day off yesterday. I appreciate that, folks. I really do. Now, according to him, he first heard me when I was broadcasting over on Red State Radio, which is interesting. I'm glad that he found me over there and he's still tuning in. So all you folks over there who first picked me up on Red State Radio and you're still listening, thank you very much. I'm glad that you are still here. You probably need to tell them over at Red State Radio that we ran into a problem when I took scheduled time off during the holidays, Christmas, New Year's. They instead of playing, go ahead and playing the best of programs for that week, they went with some boring guy, I guess, and stuck with him. And they don't, I don't know. I don't listen to Red State Radio, but from what I understand, they're not very happy with him, and they want me back in that time slot. Well, you're gonna have to talk to Red State Radio about that. I don't beg people to play me. I mean, either they do or they don't. Plain and simple. I mean, they're just. This is why new media is so good. There isn't a limited outlet anymore. You do not have to just be stuck with the big guys. I don't care whether they're leftists, they're centrist, or they're rightist. You don't have to be stuck with them. And a lot of these people still have that old media mentality. Now, I know that MSN, MSNBC over there their ratings have been soaring of late, which is fine. That's fine. I mean, I don't know why, but that's fine. But they're all still stuck in this mentality that they're the only quote unquote real news and real information disseminators out there. We know that they're not. And they keep try to play this old This is not the era of Walter Cronkite anymore. This is a whole different universe that we're in now. This is as far as media is concerned, this is a brave new world. And those people are still under the impression that the vast majority of you know where the vast majority of Americans get their news today? I know it's sad, but it's true. The vast majority of Americans now get their news not from the old school lamestream media, be it print or video or audio, but they get it from places like Twitter and Facebook. Yeah, I kid you not. Now, it explains a lot. You know who's getting their news from Twitter because all the information they have in their tiny little brains is just 144 characters worth of news. That's it. It's remember CNN headline news? Is that they're still broadcasting, right? Headline. I know CNN is up, but CNN headline they're still out there, right? I can't remember the last time I don't even know if I get. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I probably get it on my cable, CNN headline news. But these people have taken that headline news was just this every 30 minutes repeat of basic headlines. The stories were very short. It was mostly about the headlines. Well, this is what 144 characters will give you on Twitter. It'll give you the headlines. And that's all these leftists have is headlines. There's no depth to their knowledge whatsoever. Now, why do I mention that? Because it makes it pretty dangerous, because then you get people out there who talk about, even some business magazines. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I read some business publications and I'm thinking, wait a minute, you're a business publication. You're supposed to be a capitalist. I can't believe you're talking about being a socialist or a communist. Well, here comes a story from Fast Company. Now, Again, this was a headline that I saw on Twitter. Now, unlike most leftists, I see an interesting headline, grabs my attention. I always go and follow it. And so this headline caught my attention. And it's time to break up Amazon. That was the headline. I'm like, wait, what? Now, I get some people's arguments about Amazon, but they say this all the time. Understand, look, I shop on Amazon. I do. They make it easy. And obviously a lot of people around the world that Amazon does business in finds that it's easy. See, the problem is that so many companies online, they made it difficult. Well, I mean, I know technology had to evolve to make it easy, but even in this day and age, you'd be surprised how many online shopping experiences are just frustrating because they don't make it easy like Amazon makes it. I mean, now Walmart, they failed at this when their first go around online, and now they think they've gotten their act together and they're trying, but they're behind the eight ball. They really are. Not that I'm a big Walmart fan, but I'm just, look, Walmart came along, and at the time that Walmart came along, who were the big giants of retail? Well, they were the names of like Sears, JCPenney. And then Walmart and Kmart came along and disrupted the department store. And you would have thought that some of the companies that were already in that space should have been able to take up the mantle and grow bigger faster. But many of those stores are gone. Things like Bradley's and Ames and Cook's, Two Guys. I mean, they're all gone. They were in the market first. Now, who was in the market of doing stuff easier first? Well, that was eBay. Was it not? And eBay thought that they were the big SHIT, and they weren't going to be able to be taken down. And here comes Amazon, this little book seller. And all of a sudden, before you know it, Amazon's the big cheese, the big river, not eBay. There was a time when people literally thought eBay was going to go down and out. So we have it's flowing, it's fluid. And I understand Bezos has just come out of nowhere of late, and all of a sudden it just seems like everything's Amazon. And I understand people's concern about that. And now they just swallowed up Whole Foods. And I understand why he's doing it. I don't think it's a good thing for Whole Foods, to tell you the truth. But there is now, from business publications, there is a call to break up. So let me get this straight. You are an entrepreneur. You build a business model that a lot of people love. And so you sell them products and services that they want in the way they want to be sold those products and services. And if you get too many people to love your product or your store or what have you, your service, that becomes the point in which the government needs to stop you. Why? Why can't look, Amazon is just like Walmart. Amazon is not undefeatable. And here everybody thought that nobody'd be able to take on Walmart because Walmart was just getting too big all over the place. And now Walmart's afraid of Amazon. Well, and Amazon started, some 40 years after Walmart? I mean, I understand the concern. But you also have to realize, why are these companies selling to Amazon? Why? The numbers are there. Amazon is huge. It really is. And it's, when you look at the evolution of Amazon, it kind of surprises you. It really does. But when you start calling for a company because they get too big, now, and they try to the railroads. You remember that? Well, most of us don't remember because well, none of us remember it because I don't think there's anybody alive today. Very few people, a handful of people that were alive when all the big magnates, the conglomerates of the old days, like Vanderbilt and all those wonderful people, Carnegie and Rockefeller and all those wonderful people, the big industrialists. Well, of course, we had the railroads. And the government thought that they were going to be smart and break up the monopoly. And oil was the big one. Thought we'd break up the oil company because, they just gotten too big. Yeah, now there is something to be said for unfair competition. I understand all of that. But when you get right down to it, when they broke up Standard Oil, it just made Rockefeller even richer. They thought they were going to take him down a peg, and what they ended up doing is giving him an easier life because he didn't have to run everything anymore. He could just sit back and collect his money, which he did. And this is what they tried to do with Microsoft. You remember that when the big threat was to break up Microsoft? Now, Bill Gates did some smart things, and he appeased some people, and Microsoft is still pretty much intact. And Bill Gates is now the wealthiest person on the planet. Well, I mean, you got Bezos knocking on his door now, but again, what are you going to do? How are you going to break up Amazon? Bezos is still going to have pieces of those broken up companies, and it's just going to make him even wealthier. History tells us every time the government tries to get in there and tries to break things up. Now, I get it. In the 80s, we went through the breakup of Ma Bell. And there was some good that came out of that. The competition actually but the problem is the government instituted these types of monopolies in the first place. So you had the breakup of Ma Bell, and AT&T, and we got folks, Verizon was a baby Bell. It was New York Tel and New England Tel, and then they merged, and then Verizon came about, and they were local telephone. Now look at them. See, innovation is going to be innovation. Somebody's going to come up with a better mousetrap. And they're going to figure out a better way to get that mousetrap to market. And then once they get to a point where people actually know about them and love them, you can't stop them. As a matter of fact, anything that you do to try to stop them is only going to make them bigger, badder, stronger, wealthier. How do you defeat Amazon? Come up with a better model. Yeah, it's simple to say that, but it's not easy to execute. I get that. But come up with a better model. There are companies out there right now that if Amazon buys you and you're in their space, and it means that they view you as a threat. Think about that. Amazon wants to get in the grocery business. Is wholesale or is Whole Foods a threat to Amazon? I have no idea what Whole Foods had going on, other than everybody calls them Whole Paycheck. But evidently there was something there that Amazon thought that they could utilize, that they didn't want Whole Foods to be their competitor. I don't know. Maybe that was it. But here's a story from Fast Company. It's time to. They actually in this story, in this piece, by Douglas Rushkoff, Rushkoff. He actually says the founder of Ford Motor Company, Henry Ford, is a fascist or was a fascist. I kid you not, folks. He called Henry Ford. this model of doing business, that of Amazon, this model of doing business, one that even pro-fascist Henry Ford would have considered obscene. So now Henry Ford would have thought that Jeff Bezos and Amazon was obscene. Henry Ford. Do these people even know a modicum of their own history? Evidently not. Because fascism and capitalism are miles and miles apart. And Henry Ford was an ultimate capitalist. He was of the capitalist mindset of the Carnegies and the Rockefellers and the Gettys. I mean, come on. That's not fascism. That's the ultimate in capitalism. But now, I guess what we've got is a capitalist. If you are a pure capitalist, I guess you are now a fascist.
Hello, America. It's me, your history. I remember a time when we thumbed our nose in a king's face and sent him packing. And when fascists and emperors talked a little bit too loud, we showed up, tore their cities to the ground, and then rebuilt them just to prove we could. We put men on the moon, we won a Cold War, and we elected fearless leaders who led fearless people. What the hell happened to you, America? Back in my day, we didn't elect a big-eared community organizer. We punched him in the kidney. Maybe it's time you came home, America. Home where you belong.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0 Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
This is Free America broadcasting on the Rod Eccles Show with a message to all patriots trapped behind the lines in California, New York, Boston, and Chicago. Don't give up, true lovers of America. Even as we speak, moves are being made to drive the invaders back to the land from which they came. Defeat the would-be dictators and lift the chains of tyranny from around your neck. Stay strong. Stay brave. You're not forgotten, and you're not alone. Until next time, patriots, this is Free America signing out.
Call Rod now, 603-835-3226. Lines are open.
You know, I think I have to really stop calling superfans because they're not. I mean that's actually kind of arrogant on my part. And that's not who I am. They're ecclesiastites. And somebody's going to say, well, geez, Rod, how can you get more arrogant than calling him your last name? Well, not really. Obviously, liberals don't understand the Bible. And what Ecclesiastite is, the book of Ecclesiastites, it's one of the books of wisdom. It's a study of wisdom, study of logic. That's what ecclesiastites are in this program. They're students of wisdom and logic. Plain and simple. But, hey, when you're dealing with snowflakes who do not have any wisdom or any logic, such a thing is going to fall on deaf ears with them. It's just like, you got meme after meme after meme after meme after. Memes are okay. They're fine. I create memes. I repost memes that I find interesting. But a meme is a meme. They're very shallow. There's not much depth to most memes. So the vast majority of memes, there's no depth to them. But if your argument is based on a meme, and all you can do is paste a meme after meme after meme for your argument, you're a Neanderthal. I mean, it's like shouting. The louder you think by posting more memes, it's going to get your point across. No, it's not. It's not getting your point across. It just shows how shallow and inane you are. You don't even know why you're espousing what you say. I find this fascinating with many liberals. I find it equally fascinating that this is not the case for most conservatives. Most conservatives know their SHIT. They know it. And they will give you facts, and they will give you logic, and they will give you reason, without a meme, by the way. But a liberal has a hard time doing that because they don't have any depth to their argument. So all they got is a bunch of memes out there. It's amazing, actually. I find it really amazing that this is now the left wants to reduce arguments to who's got a better meme. I mean, really, is that how we're gonna run our government? Hey, you want your representative, your congressman, or your senator to pay attention to you. So flood their emails or wherever they go to get to connect with you. And flood them with memes. Oh yeah, it will definitely get their attention and get them to pay attention to you, and thus that will definitely get them to vote the way that you want them to vote. Just meme them to death. Yeah, go ahead and meme them. I know somebody's going to say Rod's anti-meme. I'm not anti-meme. I think memes are cute. They're funny. They can lead you. Informative in such a way that they can lead you to more information if they're done properly. They can give you quick bits of info, but there's no depth to them. And you can easily take them out of context, which happens more often than you might think. Well, I guess if that's all they have, then we shouldn't really have to worry about too much, right? We'll be back.
Have you ever thought to yourself, I'm a leftist elite Hollywood a-hole? If so, good news. The Rod Eccles Hollywood Community College is now open, featuring such courses as unemployment is not paid vacation. No, Americans don't want to spend $19 for an order of French fries, and the ever popular shut the hell up. Why, just listen to this big-time celebrity endorsement.
I'm not Rosie O'Donnell, and I think this school's offensive, sexist, and racist.
And I think you're a giant a-hole who needs to shut the hell up. Hey, we teach a course in that. The Rod Eccles Hollywood Community College, where being an a-hole is not a guarantee you'll be an A student.
Thousands of families affected by disasters, like the recent wildfires, urgently need support. You can help the American Red Cross provide warm meals, shelter, and hope to families when they need it most. Please donate today to Red Cross Disaster Relief to help people affected by disasters, big and small. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. Your support is critical. We can't do it without you.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you could still have hepatitis C, a serious disease that's a leading cause of liver cancer. If you were born from 1945 to 65, you should get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments can cure this disease. Talk to your doctor about getting tested. A message from the CDC.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes more, and thick, poisonous smoke may have filled your lungs and reduced your ability to respond. Give it 5, and your entire home may be filled with flames.
Keep breathing. We've got you.
Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and always stay in the kitchen when cooking at high temperatures. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov because fire is everyone's fight.
Have you mixed your pain meds, your sleep meds, your allergy meds? Call the Poison Helpline. Has your child eaten a tube of toothpaste, a chip of paint, a wild mushroom? Call the Poison Helpline. Have you been bitten by a spider, a snake, an insect? Call the Poison Helpline. Poisonings can happen at the home, on the job, or in the great outdoors. Call the Poison Helpline first for fast, free advice from medical professionals. Call 1-800-222-1222 anytime, anywhere. 1-800-222-1222. Save the number, save a life. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Premature birth is the #1 killer of babies. Those who survive often face birth defects and complications that affect them for life. For hundreds of thousands of families in the United States, this is the hardest thing they will ever have to face. And it's even harder on the baby. March of Dimes is providing education and support to families and funding life-saving research to give every baby a fighting chance. You can help. Do something today. Give them tomorrow at marchofdimes.org/tomorrow.
It's pretty amazing when you consider that 7 years ago, we didn't have the treatments we have now. We cure 80% of children with cancer. Go back 50 years, we were curing 20 to 30%. This is the miracle story of modern medicine. We understand what makes this cancer tick. And of course, without donors from around the world, this just couldn't happen. There's one thing we're focused on, and that's beating this thing.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Not on my watch, our military service members say, as they volunteer to serve. As they move out, stand firm, and take fire. So not on our watch, we say, to the severely ill or injured veterans who can't get the care they deserve to live full and independent lives, even when there's no government funding, or a nursing home seems like the only option. We won't leave one warrior behind. Not on our watch. Join us at findwwp.org.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness.
Get some rear security.
From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
America's wounded warriors are coming home. After serving on foreign shores, these brave men and women are returning to their families and communities. Many have wounds you can see, and many have wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Now that these warriors are back home, they are ready to enter the civilian workforce. To help, Wounded Warrior Project has developed the Warriors to Work program, a career counseling service that helps warriors translate their military experience to the civilian workplace. These extraordinary men and women bring proven world-class job skills and a unique perspective on teamwork to the job. And to ensure the right warrior finds the right job, Wounded Warrior Project works with employers to find just the right match. When you hire a wounded warrior, you hire an intelligent, talented, and committed new employee. Contact Wounded Warrior Project at findwwp.org. Welcome home the brave.
You want to know what time it is? It's time to bring the rain.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Studio located somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire. It's Rod Eccles.
Welcome back. 603-835-3226 is the number to call if you wish to be here live with yours truly. Here on the Rod Eccles Show. Glad that you are here in the listening audience, whether you are conservative, moderate, or even liberal. If you are a liberal, then you might learn a thing or two and stop being a liberal. And that's really one of the main goals of this program. What is the goal? The goal of this program is actually, and it has been since practically day one, is not to get people to agree with me or to think like me. That's never been my goal. My goal has always been to get those people who do not think logically to think logically, to turn on that logic center in their brain. Because once you start thinking logically, you will automatically agree with me on the macro. Now, we're still probably going to disagree on the micro, and that's fine. As I have stated many times, if you go back and you just actually read what the founders said, both in their own hand and by historians of the day, all those gentlemen agreed on the macro. They did. They agreed on the big picture: freedom, liberty, having a nation birthing a nation that never existed before on this planet, to give man every opportunity to have the ability to live out their God-given gifts on a daily basis without overdue government interference. They agreed on the macro. But as we well know, they oftentimes vehemently disagreed on the micro. What is the micro? The micro is how best to achieve the macro. Yeah, there were founders that hated each other. They agreed on the basic principle of freedom, liberty, limited government, that kind of. They agreed on the big picture, the macro, but they sometimes it even got to the point where they did pistols at 20 paces because they came to fisticuffs. For those of you in Rush Limbaugh's Rio Linda, fisticuffs means fighting, actually. They were. This whole bare knuckle fighting thing that you see, on YouTube, these fight clubs. Fight clubs have been around since the beginning of this country, basically. Whenever I learn something I didn't know about some of our founders, I find it amazing. I'm not surprised by it, but I find it amazing. These guys were serious. They were not professional politicians, but they were dead serious about starting and running a new country. And sometimes that seriousness, they really did go to blows. I mean, it's incredible how many times that people in the legislatures and legislators and the like in the early days of our country, they resorted to violence to settle their differences, and sometimes some of them ended up dead. Now, I am not equating with what recently happened with the Alexandria shooter. That's not the same thing. Nowhere near it. I mean, it's one thing for two guys to face off one another and say, and try to beat the piss out of each other, or maybe they both agree to do pistols at 20 paces. But to cowardly sit behind a dugout with a powerful rifle and take people by surprise, this is not war. This is not, it's different if you're a sniper in war, but this is not war. I know the left says that we're at war, but we're not. We should not be at war with one another. Not this way. Look, you on the left, you brought this on, and let me tell you, you've got the you've got the driver over there in England, and I find this to be rather interesting and telling. Yeah, he mowed down a few people, Muslims coming out of a mosque. And Teresa, she gave the strongest condemnation I have ever seen her give to the person who was mowing down Muslims. The very people who've been, mowing down Europeans left and right. And that sort of condemnation that came out of Theresa May has never been as vehement, as strong, and as quick as when a white Brit tried to mow down, using their own tactics against them, and tried to mow down some Muslims. Now, I'm not saying that he was right doing that. But when you push people too far, you leave them no choice sometimes. So I'm just giving you a warning. You liberals are starting this all over again. And you're ramping it up. I cannot believe how many people, prominent leftists, agree with what this guy did. They're calling him a patriot and a hero. I'm like, are you kidding me? Do you realize what you are starting here? Well, no, they don't realize what they're starting. And I'm not talking civil war as we know civil wars to be. Because frankly, if those of us on the right were to rise up and take up arms, it wouldn't be much of a fight. It really wouldn't. But I'm telling you what it is. The right in this country, because they are strongly Judeo-Christian based, we have an amazing ability to restrain ourselves. Our restraint is you go to just about any other country where restraint is far less than what we have, and yeah, they'd be embroiled in a civil war right now. Well, some of those countries are. Syria. But we have an amazing tolerance for those people on the right in this country. People take shots at us, and then the lamestream media blames us for people taking shots at us. And we turn the other cheek. For those of you who think, well, you're supposed to just turn the other cheek. Isn't that what Jesus said? Well, I think we have. We have this amazing ability to keep turning the other cheek over and over and over again. Because let me tell you something. If we were to drop that sort of restraint, You know, the government could go ahead and declare martial law, but that wouldn't work either. I mean, you have got people on the right who have been training for this kind of stuff for decades. They're called militias, state militias. Every state has one. Or more than one. You know, if you're in a bigger state. There's two in my little state that I know of. Hell, I was asked to join one. I mean, I don't need to do that. But I know of at least two militias here in this state. And they're not going to, these people, they're gearing up. They're preparing. And let me tell you, they are, I've seen some of these people shoot, man. They don't miss. So I'm just telling you, liberals, you guys better back off, man. It's one thing to disagree with us politically, but you start bringing on the violence, you have no ability to back up your violence. You have none. And I'm being genuine here. I'm imploring the left to knock it off. Yeah, go ahead, continue, to have your protest, continue to voice your opinion. That is what makes America great. But when you start taking things the way that you have taken things, in the direction that you've taken it, you want to talk about poking the bear? It's not a bright thing to do. I know some of you out there in listening land are saying, well, they're not bright, Rod. I mean, yeah, I get that. But there's something called self-preservation. Is the left completely devoid of self-preservation? Yeah, I don't know. That could be. Maybe they have bred self-preservation out of the snowflakes because, this guy was 66 years old who pulled the trigger in Virginia, but so he wasn't exactly the definition of a snowflake. But I mean, seriously. Every time you have seen on video when somebody on the right has had enough and fights back, who goes down? The snowflake or snowflakes on the left. I can't tell you how. I mean, and if you watch some of these videos from the leftists, because they're trying to portray the person on the right as being this aggressor and being mean and evil and all that kind of stuff, they all show the leftist who starts the fight getting a can of whoop ass opened up on him. You guys cannot stand against a conservative. You just can't. You don't have the ability or the stamina or the physical or mental strength to do it. And I'm telling you now, you guys got to knock it off. It is gonna happen. It is going. You mark my words. A quote unquote conservative is going to retaliate and fight back and kill a snowflake, and that is going to just open the doors for the leftists to say all kinds of stuff. For martial law and to take your guns away and to take this away and restrict you from doing that, restrict freedom of speech and blah, blah, blah. That's what's going to happen. That's what they're waiting for. And that's probably one of the things that has kept the right from retaliating as much as we probably have the right to retaliate. Because we're not stupid. We understand what they're trying to do. It's just I'm amazed by the restraint on the right. It's really something to behold. Here, we actually believe in the rule of law, and we actually believe that if there is a difference that cannot be resolved between us, that the courts will settle it for us in the proper fashion. And here's a case that did just that. The Supreme Court sides with the slants. And if you haven't heard this, this is a good one. So don't go anywhere, and I'll tell you all about it right after the break.
You're listening to the Rod Eccles Show, the coolest, most politically incorrect, conservative black man on the planet.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
Hi, Gordon. What you been up to?
Big things, Fred. I'm a full-time student at bartending college.
Wow. I never had time for a formal education.
Well, I decided to make time, but it's not easy. Bartending college is a 4-week course.
Gee, how far along are you?
Well, let's see. This is Tuesday, the 3rd week. Hey, I'm a junior, and I'm late for a daiquiri lecture. Why don't you join me?
Why not?
Bartending college.
You've already spent enough time on the other side of the bar to qualify for enrollment.
Bartending college.
We'll teach you everything you need to know. You'll get a starter set of bartenders' jokes like...
So I says to the guy, you can stay, but the cow's gotta go.
Bartending college.
You'll learn how to roll drunks, water the liquor, and skim the cash register. And remember, as the bartender, you drink for free.
Last call.
For integrity.
Zero 835-3226. Welcome back. This thing with the slants. Now, just if you haven't heard about this story, this goes hand in hand with the Washington Redskins. Okay, we're going to get to this now. Okay, the Supreme Court sides with the slants. Rules ban on offensive names is unconstitutional. I have said this from the day. Now, I did not know about this particular case with the slants, but I have said this about with the Redskins. The government cannot come in and decide what is offensive and acceptable and what is not. And you may not like now. See, a lot of states have run into this problem as well, with their vanity license plates. They, folks, your license plate is actually reviewed by people to determine whether or not it's offensive or not. If you want a vanity plate, we have those people here in this state, and there have been people that have challenged this state on them not allowing certain plates, certain vanity phrases, and most of the time the state is lost. Believe it or not, and that's a good thing. Now, I know there are people running around, they don't want to see or hear something that's offensive like that. But folks, let me tell you, when the very people that you're out there saying that it's offensive to says that it's not offensive, it's kind of like the N-word. I mean, it is so confusing now of what's offensive and what's not. And if you go by the whole term, well, if a black person uses the N-word, they can. Okay. So if Native Americans don't mind the term or word Redskins, why do white people mind? And the vast majority of Native Americans could care less about the name Redskins. Just like the vast majority of Native Americans could have cared less about the word squaw. But you had a bunch of people running around saying, we got to change the name of this, and, Squaw Valley and Squaw Street, and change the name. It can't be Squaw anymore because that's offensive. Offensive to who? If it's not offensive to the people that you say it's offensive to, then how is it offensive to you? The Slants. The Slants is actually an Asian American band that wanted to call themselves the Slants. Now, what is the derogatory term? Well, the derogatory term supposedly was slant eye. So they called themselves the Slants. They were a rock and roll band. They wanted to call themselves the Slants, and they wanted to basically copyright their name. And the government said no, because it was offensive. Offensive to who? To Asians? Well, the band is nothing but Asians. They didn't find it offensive. Well, it's the same thing with Redskins. You got a bunch of do-gooder leftists that you cannot have government deciding what is offensive, truly offensive, and what is not, because that changes. And there are a number of different things that are in this ruling that make a whole hell of a lot of sense. It is actually in the body of our Constitution, and it basically says that Congress cannot make any laws that interfere with existing contracts, so long as those contracts were fully and completely legal at the time that they were made. So in other words, you cannot tell that you cannot take away the Redskins' right to call themselves the Redskins simply because you don't like the term anymore. Because they have obligations and contracts, and they've already gotten the ability to do it. You can't all of a sudden take it away from it. It's in the Constitution. It's actually written in the Constitution. You can't do that. But this is what the Obama administration tried to do with bringing in all this political correctness crap. And you got a bunch of people out there who are minorities are saying, well, we're not going to follow this political correctness. We're going to take the word and we're going to use it for ourselves. And you got a bunch of white people out there and leftist blacks that say, well, no, that's offensive. It's offensive to my ears. And don't listen. So the Supreme Court just said, no, you can't do that. Which basically means that this whole case with the Redskins is going to go away. Because the Supreme Court just ruled in favor of this band. And now they can patent and trademark their name, the Slants. And there is a bunch of people out there on the left who are just, see, this is why we can't have these conservative. Well, let me tell you something about this. This ruling had nothing to do with conservative. Believe it or not, had nothing to do with conservative thought. Basically, the ruling was 8-0, which means every liberal on the court agreed for once with the Constitution. Go figure that one. Call Rod now. 666-603-835-3226.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please call or go online right now.
So you have the Supreme Court basically saying in an 8-0 ruling. I know some people are asking, well, don't we have 9 Supreme Court justices? Yes. However, Justice Gorsuch could not rule on this one because he was not there to hear the arguments. So therefore, the arguments were heard before Gorsuch was seated. So he doesn't get to rule on it, obviously. But the Supreme Court ruled yesterday that a federal trademark law banning offensive names is unconstitutional, siding with a rock band whose name has been deemed racially disparaging by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. In an 8-0 ruling, the court determined the so-called disparagement clause in the law violates the free speech clause of the First Amendment. Now, this particular case centers on an Oregon-based Asian American band called the Slants, which was denied a trademark because its name was considered offensive. The band countered that the 70-year-old law at issue violates free speech rights, and Justice Samuel Alito, in the court's opinion, agreed, stating in part, the commercial market is well stocked with merchandise that disparages prominent figures and groups, and the line between commercial and non-commercial speech is not always clear. As this case illustrates, if affixing the commercial label permits the suppression of any speech that may lead to political or social volatility, free speech would be endangered. In other words, you can't just say you don't like a word or a phrase and then deem it to be offensive. Doesn't work. Now, this actually has bearing directly on the Redskins, because the Redskins had a trademark. The Obama administration revoked that trademark because they deemed the word Redskin was offensive. Now, again, the vast majority of Native Americans didn't find that word offensive. But the Obama administration doesn't have any Native Americans. Elizabeth Warren is not Native American. But there no Native Americans in the administration or in the patent office deemed that it was offensive. To who? Let me ask you this. If somebody were to run around and say, okay, honky all the time, or cracker, but not a single white person is offended by it, so what's the big deal? Well, there's black people running around that find it offensive. Well, it has no reference or bearing on them, does it? So who gets to determine what's offensive? Oh, by the way, we're talking about a minority group in this country, Asian Americans. The minority group didn't find it to be offensive to them. So is it, again, a case of the wonderful left protecting us from ourselves? Well, it's offensive, and if you don't know it's offensive, well, then we're going to have to tell you it's offensive. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. The government doesn't have a right, because they find it to something to be offensive, to limit your free speech or access to something like that. And folks, again, it's 8-0 in this ruling. So you on the left, you have no defense whatsoever in this case. 8-0 means that even Ruth Bader Ginsburg agreed with Samuel Alito on this. So what's that tell you? That even if a liberal, one of the most liberal Supreme Court justices in the history of the Supreme Court, agreed with the conservative on this, might not tell you something? That even, I know even a broken clock is right twice a day, but that the law was just so bad. By the way, one of the reasons why she probably agreed with us is because there are a lot of terms that liberals use to try to describe conservatives that are disparaging. And the Patent Office could have said to you people on the left, no, can't use that. And you would have been livid by that. So understand that this was all about the first. I cannot believe it was 8-0. I know. I mean, miracles are still possible. They are still possible. Here in the paper pile, I have the story that I mentioned earlier with the caller. Boeing to test self-flying planes. There is nothing that a human being does that isn't on the operating table right now. Here's a story out of Philadelphia. CBS in Philadelphia. Self-driving cars are all but a reality, and they are. They're here. There's no stopping them. Self-driving flying cars are going to begin appearing in Dubai. And it is such a fait accompli that Dubai has at least one new skyscraper in the works or in planning that has a carport or parking garage 50 floors up. Now, whether it actually gets built, I don't know if it probably will. There'll probably be half a dozen of these types of things soon to be designed once these flying cars get really start hitting the streets, the skies over the streets. The 50. Well, how are you going to park a car 50 floors up? Well, they're not going to have an elevator for your car going that high. It's for flying cars. So, the Jetsons, the Jetsons are about here. Well, in order for airlines days are numbered, folks. They really, as far as flying terrestrial flights, they're numbered. Think about it. If you have a flying car and you have a flying car that's fuel efficient enough to cross the pond, let's say, the Atlantic, are you going to need an airplane? No, you're just going to get in your car and fly to Paris. All right, this opens up a whole new deal that everybody's going to have to straighten out with borders. I mean, you can. Will the wall even matter on the southern border if people can just fly over it in a car? Something to think about. Look, right now we are totally fixated on current technology, and current technology is very limiting to how we interact with the world. But there are things on the drawing boards, and not just on the drawing. They're in the testing phase right now, which means that they're about to come to fruition to the open market. That's just going to blow the door wide open for all kinds of things and totally change the way we live. This is something very serious that we need to start figuring out now. Because after all this stuff gets here, that's too damn late. And then you start getting all kinds of laws and regulations that try to keep this stuff in the box, and it's already out. We need to figure it out now. What happens when flying cars become the norm? Well, borders become meaningless. I mean, right now we can control borders as much as we possibly can because everything's ground-based. Even airlines, they're ground-based. They have to take off from a central location and land in a central location called an airport Well, that's easily controlled. Well, what happens when you have highways that are not paved and anybody can jump in their car and go anywhere they want, literally? Well, the airlines see this coming, and they're trying to remain viable for as long as they possibly can. Now, airlines are going to transition into doing things like, the space flight type of thing. That's kind of, do you drive your car or do you take a plane? Do you drive your car or take a train or a bus? Well, that's what we have now. Well, that's the way it's going to be. Do you drive your car to France, or do you take, and take 6 hours to fly your car there, or 7 hours, or 8 hours? We can drive a car on land for 8 hours. I mean, a lot of cars could drive without need refueling for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours in some cases, depending on the type of car it is and the fuel that they use. Well, imagine if you have a car that flies that can do that. So, and it's also going to increase, the safety concerns. Like, what happens if you, not necessarily have a car crash, but if you have mechanical problems now with your car, what do? You pull over to the side of the road and then you call AAA. Well, if you're flying at 10,000 feet over the Atlantic Ocean, you run into problems. What do? Well, you're gonna ditch. Are we going to have AAA coming out to the middle of the Atlantic to get you? There are all kinds of issues that we have to pay attention to now instead of figuring it out later after everything happens. This is much like, automobiles. Nobody thought about safety when Henry Ford started rolling off the Model T. No car safety, road safety wasn't, and we had to catch up and learn all about that stuff as we were driving. Well, now we have the unique opportunity to see this stuff coming. Nobody saw the Model T coming. Nobody saw how it was going to, other than Henry Ford, possibly, really how it was going to change how people lived all around the world. Today, we have the unique perspective of being able to see into the future and know that this stuff is coming. And yet nobody's doing anything about it. I mean, you got some people who are trying to make laws that and they did. This thing has been, flying cars have been kept in the box through legislation and regulation since the 80s. There was a real working model back in the 80s. And the government kept it grounded, but they can't do that now. It's out of the box, out of the barn. But you can't put it back in. And now you got companies all over the place that are saying, well, you can have a driverless car. How about driverless trucks? How about driverless army trucks? How about, pilotless planes now? And nobody is focusing on this stuff, folks. I'm telling you, it is going to be a rough paradigm shift. Because nobody's paying attention to the aspects of what if. Yeah, we're focused on all this ground-based stuff. Well, yeah, I'm all for building the wall, but in 5 or 10 years, the wall is going to be moot. A physical wall is going to be moot. So, yeah, it's there, folks. It's already there. It's here. I mean, well, just saying. I don't know. Yeah, I got it is here. There's no putting it back in the box. And we have a bunch of people that are fighting an old battle that is, in our government, not just ours, all over the world. ignoring new technology that is going to make these old technologies and regulations moot. Just saying.
I'm not Rod Eccles, and I approve this message.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, "I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar." Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, "I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar." And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Sign him up for the Box of Bait Club and he'll never be hungry again. The Box of Bait Club is a brand new dream come true for every fisherman. Something new and different in your tackle box every month. Every month, another excuse to get outside and do what you love. Don't let this one get away. The Box of Bait Club is currently accepting a limited number of pre-orders with subscriptions starting at $39.95 per month. Find out more now. Log on to boxofbaitclub.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
Warning. Listening to the Rod Eccles Show by the Idiot Left may cause outrage, fear, a need for safety pins and or spaces. If you experience any of these symptoms or are allergic to truth, tune in and learn something.
(603-835-3226). Welcome back. This whole thing with the flying pilotless planes, folks, you got to understand that this is stuff is already here. We already have cars that as standard features have accident avoidance or collision avoidance systems. Your cars brake on their own. We have cars that can park themselves. Did you know that pilots are already limited to what they need to do? Unless it's inclement weather, you have some of these big birds, these large planes. Did you know that they can take off by themselves already? Automatic takeoff. We already know that they have, like cruise control. Cars have cruise control, and planes have had cruise for years and years and years. But these big birds, they can actually take off, auto takeoff and auto landing. And really, the only time that a human has to interact is if the system goes down, goes wrong, they have to make minor adjustments or inclement weather. So we already pretty much have planes that can fly themselves. They're just trying to get it to the point where they don't need a human body sitting in that seat. I don't know if I want that, but we already have this type of stuff, and you don't even know it. Most people don't even realize it, know it. We already have a lot of this autonomous stuff here. The future is now. It's not in the future. It's now. How many cars do you see advertised that park themselves parallel? Because nobody can parallel park. I can parallel park. A lot of people have difficulty parallel parking. I don't know why. But we have cars that park themselves. In some of the strangest, tiniest... I have seen cars... they've done testing. I've seen some of these tests where a human being could have a very difficult time parallel parking. These automatic parking systems, the only thing that can make it easier is if you had the wheels that turn sideways. Wait, they have a car that does that. Who did that? I saw the wheels actually turned so you could actually slide your car into position. I have no doubt that that's coming as well. That's good. It's probably going to first appear on something like a Lexus or something where your car can, that doesn't really, you don't really have to park it. You pull up next to the spot and it'll slide itself in, basically, because the wheels will turn. And it's amazing stuff. But cars are already parking themselves. And they're already braking. Wasn't there a car that that had steering? Didn't it have automatic? Isn't there a car that had automatic steering that was part of the collision avoidance system? You could also steer the car to try to avoid an accident. I thought I saw that there was a car out there that did that. But we know we have the braking stuff. And you ever been in a car where it all of a sudden brakes? I've never driven a car that brakes by itself, but I have been a passenger. And it's like slamming on the brakes, but I don't know. What is going on with this warm beer case? Warm beer. Every time I hear it, I think warm beer, but that's basically how it's spelled, B-I-E-R. That is a European spelling for beer. I wonder if John McCain thinks that Obama was a better leader than Trump in this particular case as well. Now, folks, why the hell would you people want to go to such totalitarian regime states like North Korea is beyond me. What the hell was he even doing there? And then taking his American snowflake attitude. Now, I'm not disparaging Otto Warmbier here, but I'm just saying as a whole. You go to a country like this, and you take one of their posters as a souvenir. Go to the store and buy it. But you go to these places, and we'll get into this story right after the break. Don't go anywhere.
The following program is recommended for mature individuals and may contain material unsuitable for morons, cretins, and dishwipes. If you are a moron or a member of the PTL Club, please turn off your radio, because we don't need any more stupid, narrow-minded, pencil-neck geeks who wouldn't know the First Amendment if it came up and bit them on the butt. Thank you.
When I found out I had atrial fibrillation, a serious but highly treatable heart condition, first thing I thought of was, who would take care of my wife and children if anything were to happen to me? My doctor recommended Prevactin. I had a lot of questions, so I did some research. It turns out Prevactin is the #1 recommended drug for Crohn's disease. I think my doctor's trying to kill me and steal my wife.
Doctors. They'll stop at nothing to get your wife.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill. A breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help. Just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness.
Get some rear security.
From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
The human voice. It can be sweet as music, powerful as thunder,
And so, my fellow Americans,
cheerful as laughter. But for millions of people, it can also be a sign of COPD. This serious lung disease can make it so hard to breathe, you often can't catch a breath or finish a sentence, let alone carry a tune. And many who have COPD don't even know it. That's where your voice comes in. If you think you or a loved one have symptoms, talk with a healthcare provider. Early diagnosis can mean better treatments and quality of life. Join us in raising our voices for the millions with COPD who can't. Learn more, breathe better at NIH.gov.
As a mother, you don't want to have to worry about this bill is coming, but then she needs this chemo. That's a decision you shouldn't have to make.
It's a huge burden lifted financially, and so it allows you to give singular focus to your child. I've never known a hospital that takes care of their patients so thoroughly.
That was the first thing I was like, how are we going to do this? When they told us that we didn't have to pay a single bill, I was like, wow. They pretty much have saved us.
It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders, and now your focus is supporting this child.
There is not another hospital like St. Jude. The patient care is unmatchable. It saved my life. It saved my daughter's life. It saved our family.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Studio located somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire is Rod Eccles.
And welcome back. Hour number 3 here on the Rod Eccles Show. The fastest 3 hours of Internet Talk Radio is right here on this program. Yes, indeed. 603-835-3226 is the call-in number. Should you wish to utilize it, welcome all of you liberty lovers and ecclesiastites all across the globe. It is Tuesday, June number 20 in the year of our Lord 2017, as we continue on, and we get into this whole auto warm beer thing. Let me just put it this way. When you go to somebody else's country, it is not the United States. And I realize a lot of people take that for granted. Well, the laws are different in other countries. They're different. You do not have the same freedoms and rights as you do here. As Otto learned the hard way, and let this be a lesson to everybody who wants to travel to such brutal regimes. Now, you would have thought that maybe North Korea would have thought, well, this guy is, he likes what our posters have to say. He likes our propaganda. He wants to spread it back in America. No, they took the opposite tack. You've stolen something that belongs to, that is the property of the government here. And it is here to make sure that all our citizens understand who's in charge. I mean, think about it. The kid got 15 years for taking a poster. You don't even get a ticket for taking a poster in this country. But the problem is that Otto and many like him think that it is perfectly okay. Yeah, look, I know we did, my friends and I, we did some stupid stuff when we were, we took street signs. Not all street signs, just we helped one of my friends because he was moving and he wanted a memento, so we took one of his street signs. Now, funny thing is that, within 2 days, cops were asking where the sign was. Now, nobody admitted we had the sign, but the sign mysteriously appeared up at the police station. But that, and we were chastised because they couldn't find it. They couldn't prove that we took it, but they chastised us for that. And they said, you can get in trouble for that. It's going to be a fine, blah blah blah. Your parents are going to, know this and all this kind of stuff. And I just remember his dad saying, if you guys took it, return it. That was all he said. But people go down ripping down other people's posters all the time in this country. Especially the left. They don't like what somebody, a conservative sign, they'll steal it. They'll steal somebody's lawn sign. And we've had to actually enact some laws that are kind of stringent on stealing political signs off of people's property. But again, nobody gets in real trouble for doing that. And so they have this mentality that, well, we can get away with it here in the U.S. That means nobody really cares about that, so we can take the poster as a souvenir. He was evidently, although there is question about whether or not, because the video really doesn't show who took the poster. Now I don't know if the North Koreans had other evidence on him. Maybe they caught him with the poster. I don't know, but. He evidently, under duress, he admitted to taking it, and they sentenced him to 15 years for taking a poster. And the Obama administration didn't do anything they did very little, if anything, to try to get him and a couple of other Americans released and out of the country. And here you have the Trump administration comes in, and unfortunately they do get him back, but not until the North Koreans do some damage to him. They killed him, basically, because he passed away recently from his injuries. And, I mean, this is just brutal. It is brutal. And yet, now there's a story here that's saying that the tour company that he was a part of, I guess, is now stopping tours of North Korea. They didn't stop him. They didn't stop the tours when the kid got arrested and sentenced to 15 years. Now, all of a sudden, he gets returned in a comatose state and he passes away from his injuries. And now they want to stop? I know it's better late than never. But where's John McCain on this? Because Obama couldn't get him back. Didn't even really try. You got people calling Trump an idiot. Well, Trump got him back. Albeit in a vegetative state, but he still got him back. Where his family could be with him. And now his family can be there to lay him to rest. It is beyond me why anybody I don't care who you are. You see, you people on the left, you have no idea what totalitarianism is. You have no idea what true dictatorship is. You say you think it's a good idea. You wanted to make Obama president for life and all that kind of BS. You have no idea what it is really, really like. You have no idea about, we get Americans that get into trouble all the time going overseas because they have no worldview, no knowledge of what other countries are like. What was there was a movie back in the 70s similar to this, Midnight Train or something like that, where this young man, you could call him a snowflake of the day, was in Turkey. And he got caught with just a little bit of drugs on him. And he got sentenced to years in jail in Turkey. And you don't want to be in a Turkish prison. So the movie was a true story, based on his true life story and his escape out of that prison and out of the country of Turkey. And, of course, he's never going back there. But this is the same thing. And you get people all the time. You get kids all the time. Well, I want to go to this country to help out. It's beyond me why anybody does this. I mean, I know we get some people. Well, didn't we just have a religious leader or pastor get detained in North Korea? And he was there to minister hope, and evidently administering hope to the people in North Korea is also illegal. There is no humanizing countries like this. Their leaders do not care. They're completely dictatorial, and everything that goes on with that country is supposed to be all about them. I mean, I know North Korea has a formidable army, but I question whether or not they have competent people to lead them, because every time you see a picture of Kim Jong-un surrounded by his generals, most of them seem to be different. It's well known that he basically eliminates anybody who opposes him at any turn. So how do you get promoted to the high ranks in North Korea? Well, you just wait for your superior officer to do something stupid, and then he gets eliminated. That leaves a vacancy, and then it kind of reminds me of the Star Wars movie when the commander of the ship does something wrong that Darth Vader doesn't like. So what does he do? He chokes him with the Force, and then he promotes the second in command, and the second in command, he gulps. Not sure he wanted that type of a promotion. That's what happens in countries like this. It's not just North Korea. We see the same thing happening in places like Iran. Any place where there is a totalitarian type of regime. Cuba. You don't get to dissent in any way, shape, or form. Because if you do, you're signing your death warrant. One way or the other. Now, I have no idea why we have a travel ban in place for Cuba, but we don't have it for North Korea. If anything, it's for the safety of these stupid snowflakes who want to travel there. These idiots. But just because you take a poster, stealing a poster should not be the equivalent of a death sentence. I don't care where you are on the planet or who you are. But that's exactly what this kid got. Let's go to the phones. 256, you're live on the Rod Eccles Show. What you got?
Good morning, Rod. It's Kevin. How are you?
Good morning, Kevin. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Doing wonderful. Listen, you pretty much said everything that I wanted to say, but I just wanted to make a couple of quick comments. I wonder, these snowflakes here in America that are waving communist flags and fighting for communism, if they still think it's a good idea now that they see what type of behavior that is going on in North Korea.
Most of them probably don't even know. And they're not going to know, and they don't want to know. They're going to believe what they want to believe anyway. It's a faith type of thing. They believe that, they got the wrong kind of communist leaders over there in North Korea. If they had bright, wonderful, all-caring, worldly leaders that we have here that like communism, like Bernie Sanders, then it'd be a much different country. And they don't realize that it wouldn't.
They have no clue. If they would have been around when Stalin was sending millions and millions and millions to the death camps, you got Pol Pot. I mean, you said it perfectly. These total dictatorship type countries, they don't tolerate the kind of, even the snowflake behavior that we have here. If I can point out another really good example of an American doing what they want in the wrong place, it was that young boy, I believe it was Singapore, who vandalized some cars and ended up getting the cane.
Oh, yeah. And everybody here was, all the left here they were up in arms saying, it's just cruel and inhumane. They can't do that. Well, yeah, they can because it's their country.
And their laws.
Yes.
And at least they have respect for their borders.
And they don't care about the touchy-feely stuff here. That's another thing. Everybody thinks that, we're so wonderful and benign and all we want to do is help, and they don't give a rip.
Yeah, good point. I wonder where Michael Moore is now, since he thinks that communist healthcare is so great that the only reason that North Korea, besides Trump's influence, only reason North Korea sent this boy home is because he was critically ill. They made him ill and then weren't even willing to foot the bill to heal him before they sent him home.
No, that's another very good point. They didn't have the medical facilities. They don't have the medical facilities. So this is how we know that that this was not an injury that is as old as they claim it is. It's more recent. And I'm surprised that the left hasn't blamed Trump for this. See, we elected Trump, and that's why they killed the kid, because of Trump. Trust me, that's probably going to come out sooner rather than later, that it's going to be Trump's fault.
Well, yeah, and you can bet your butt that North Korean propaganda machine, which is actually better than the Democrats here, their news is going to be saying, we sent him home in perfect health, and look what the Americans did, and they're trying to blame our great leader.
Yeah, that would be good. That is exactly what they're going to say.
Yeah, it is absolutely remarkable. It's I'm in total agreement with you this morning, Rod.
I appreciate that. See, it's always nice to be right, but I know I'm right, but it's nice when other people recognize how right I am.
Okay. Well, I will be calling you again very, very soon, Rod. Thank you for taking my call this morning.
Thanks a lot. Look, folks, all I'm saying is that if you go someplace different than the United States, understand that they do not put up with any kind of poking the bear. They don't. And you are going to suffer consequences like you would never have dreamed of. And then when you do, you're going to be crying and saying, look, I watched a video of this kid crying. He was trying to be apologetic. He didn't mean to do it. It was just, and of course here in this country, all he has to do is say, I'm sorry, and cry about it, and they let him go, maybe a small fine, and that's it. That doesn't happen in dictatorships like this. This is also why Trump was right in rescinding the Obama administration's ridiculous one-sided agreement with Cuba, because they're still doing that in Cuba. And if you think Trump was wrong, just look at all the Cuban dissidents and Cuban Americans down in Florida when he went to give this speech that totally agree with him. The entire Cuban community is on the side of Trump on this one. Think about that, you leftist snowflake.
Yes, love hurts. It can hurt emotionally, but more important, it can also hurt you physically. It can hurt you in a way which nobody who owns a hot tub and lives in California can afford to be unaware of. Yes, I'm talking about California hot tub rectal gonorrhea. This painful, incurable disease can make an enjoyable soak in a hot tub with family, friends, and dog into a literally unforgettable experience. If you catch California hot tub rectal gonorrhea, not only will you walk around feeling like you're about to pass a twisted sardine can lid, you'll also smell like a pile of burning tractor tires. So don't jump out of the frying pan and into the hot tub, because if you get California hot tub rectal gonorrhea, it'll really burn your ass.
This has been a public service message brought to you by the Citizens Against CHTRG Foundation. California hot tub rectal gonorrhea. We're not going to take it sitting down.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement.
But now, there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
Well, I have it right here in my currently cigar nicotine-stained fingers here in the paper pile about this very tour company that I mentioned before. The travel company sent an email to USA Today, and this is the travel company that the former University of Virginia student Otto Warmbier used along with some of his friends to go to North Korea. And it said in its email that it is wrangling with the 22-year-old's death and will no longer take Americans to North Korea. Oh, so again, he gets arrested and sentenced to 15 years hard labor for taking a poster out of a hotel. And that didn't stop them from sending more of your children into harm's way. Here's their motto. By the way, and the name of the tour company is Young Pioneer Tours. And their motto is, we provide budget travel to destinations your mother would rather you stay away from. Now, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want budget and going to dictatorial states to be in the same sentence. If I'm going to go there, I want somebody who knows the rules, who is by my side with a tour guide every step of the way and tells me, don't look at it wrong, don't touch it wrong, don't do anything wrong, every single step of the way. But no, it's a budget tour. So Young Pioneer Tours is now, but look, I guess they're still saying that, we're going to take you to other places. I guess they send tours to Iran. Hello? In other places that your mother would rather you not go. That's in their motto. That's their company position. That's their, I mean, really? Do they even give these tourists even some modicum of warning? I don't know. I've never read any of their pamphlet or literature. I don't know if they, what they're told on the airplane or when they land, when they get there, but evidently, whatever they said did not sink in. And, frankly, all those that were traveling with Otto are damn lucky that they didn't get embroiled with him, because they could have easily just said, well, you all conspired to steal this. Could you imagine? Again, look, I am not laying any of the blame for this on Otto himself, because nobody in their right mind would ever assume that you would get 15 years or death simply by taking a poster. I get that. The problem is making it available for these people to go there in the first place. Knowing what their mindset is, and that they have no worldly clue of what they're getting themselves into. And you could say, well, a lot of people have gone there and left there safely. Yeah, but a lot of people haven't. And it's not just Americans. But you've got to understand, the tensions between the North Korean government and our government is so high that any American that lands in North Korea that isn't a former professional basketball player has got a bullseye on their back. And if they make one wrong, if they step on a Korean ant, they're probably going to get a 15-year to life sentence.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness.
Get some rear security.
From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
This is Free America broadcasting on the Rod Eccles Show with a message to all patriots trapped behind the lines in California, New York, Boston, and Chicago. Don't give up, true lovers of America. Even as we speak, moves are being made to drive the invaders back to the land from which they came. Defeat the would-be dictators and lift the chains of tyranny from around your neck. Stay strong. Stay brave. You're not forgotten, and you're not alone. Until next time, patriots, this is Free America signing out.
Bring the rain.
Welcome back. Well, I would hope that at some point, if you have college-age kids and they want to go on a trip overseas, that you make sure that they don't travel to places like that. I mean, because they may not be coming home. Folks, hey, you know, did you know that there are some countries that have travel warnings to the U.S.? Yeah, they do. They have, and this might be why Sanders, the venerable, all-loving, all-knowing, all-caring, hypocritical rich man out of Vermont, is ratcheting up after the shooting last week. Is ratcheting it up by saying, act in unprecedented ways. Fight back in every way that you can. Yeah. But so I guess after he says that you know we're not going to stay. I'm not going to stand for this type of thing. You know, I deplore and condemn all this violence that is happening. He's now out there saying, act in unprecedented. Well, that's shooting somebody, trying to assassinate them is an unprecedented move. That's an unprecedented act. Anybody ever notice that the vast majority of these types of shootings come from leftists? And they always try to blame somebody who's like a Tea Party member or a right-winger by listening, and they listen to right-wing radio or what have you. You remember that? The Gabby Giffords thing, blaming Sarah Palin and Rush Limbaugh. And the only thing that guy listened to was left-wing stuff. No evidence that he listened to Sarah Palin or any right-winger at all. And let's just take out people that we don't agree with. I mean, not take them out at the election box or, take them on idea versus idea. No. Let's just shoot them. Let's kill them. Let's behead them. Let's stab them. It is any sentient being, any caring person would not go and just say what Bernie Sanders just said. Plain and simple. This is something that is just unbelievable. Now, Sanders evidently said this after last week's shooting at the GOP congressional baseball practice. Washington supposedly came to a consensus that the rhetoric in our political system needed to be toned down. Oh, no. What they really meant is, what the leftists really mean is that conservatives need to tone down their rhetoric because their rhetoric is incendiary. Leftists can't help but go off the deep end every time they hear somebody on the right speak. So Democrats supposedly have been especially vocal in pointing to past comments by the president. Again, it's Donald Trump's fault. Can you believe this? It is just unbelievable. That they would do this sort of thing, say this sort of thing. Well, let me back up a little bit. Before the assassination attempt, what did we have? We had the left going hog wild with all kinds of things, including the Kathy Griffin video and picture of a likeness of a beheaded Trump. I mean, but that's artistic. You know, we're told by the left that that's artistic freedom. They really didn't. She didn't really mean it. Well, yes, she did. Because then we get this play in New York City where they take a likeness of Donald Trump and have him brutally assassinated on stage. And we're not supposed to correlate any of that stuff with what happened in that shooting. Because what happened in the shooting was due to Donald Trump's rhetoric. What exactly has Donald Trump actually said to make you want to kill him and people who support him? Really? Especially considering that we have, most of Congress is trying, on the Republican side, is trying to block his agenda anyway. I mean, you couldn't, the Democrats couldn't ask for better partnership in blocking Trump than the current Republican Party. So what exactly is it that Donald Trump said that makes you think that now you need to take out Republicans in total this way, when they're the ones helping the Democrats and blocking his agenda? This is just absolutely inane. So Sanders is out there saying that go big, act in an unprecedented way, go big, fight back in every way, and accuses one side of literally harming millions of people. Everything a Republican wants to do is going to kill babies. Did you know that? Taking away the school lunch program is going to kill unborn babies. It's going to kill future babies. Forget the fact that they're the left are the ones that are the agents of death and destruction. I mean, this is just, it's inane. So now he did this during a question and answer portion of a program that he was on. He told the person that we've got to stand up and fight back. We've got to be involved in the political process in a way that we have never been before, because what is happening in Washington right now is unprecedented. Yeah, he's right about that. I have never seen a president's agenda being massively blocked like Trump's, by both sides of the political aisle at the same time. I mean, you've got an investigation that's going on. Let me, I want to say something about this investigation, about the president being, all of a sudden now being under investigation for obstruction. Did you know that Article 1 president in the Constitution, according to the Justice Department, for the last 50 or 60 years. Now, doesn't matter the administration, Democrat or Republican. The Justice Department over the last 50 to 60 years have come up with the same conclusion. That a sitting president cannot be charged with a crime, because it will interfere with his presidential duties as established in the Constitution. Now, this is the Justice Department. Now, agree with it or don't agree with it, that's irrelevant. The Justice Department has stated over the past 50 to 60 years, under every single administration, that this is the protocol, that in order for a president to be charged with a crime, you have to impeach him and remove him from office first. Therefore, the president really cannot be under investigation like this. He can't. What was the big thing with Nixon? Nixon had to be impeached and removed from office before he could be charged with a crime, which is why then the new president, Ford, pardoned him. So you've got this, you've got this guy who's the special prosecutor, and he's hiring he's got 13, 14 liberal hacks. Donated all kinds of money over the past 10 years to Democrats, including Hillary, are now in there to investigate. What are they investigating? He's allowed to fire Comey. The president is allowed to fire anybody he damn well pleases in the executive branch for any reason at any time. So just simply firing Comey is not obstructing justice. You know what's obstructing justice? Erasing emails that have been subpoenaed by Congress. Yeah, that's the whole thing. She did it. Her minions did it. But there's no obstruction of justice investigation going on there, is there? No. Trump fires a guy who's inept and incompetent, and all of a sudden it's obstruction? Of what? He wasn't under investigation. There was nobody within his administration that Comey cited was under. Flynn was not in Trump's administration. I mean, this is absolutely insane. Why do I keep hearing a bell in my ear? It's like, I don't know, somebody. It must be one of the sites I have open. It keeps ringing it like a. I should probably use it. Like a fight bell, ding! I actually have that as a sound effect, but I haven't used it yet. But I keep hearing it for some reason. I can't figure out which page I have open that keeps doing that. So if I get a little distracted sometimes, because I keep hearing the stupid bell, boxing ring bell going off in my ear. Do you guys hear that? Or is it just me? Any case. But you got to understand that these people on the left, they continually do what they accuse us on the right of doing. They're the ones doing it. They're the ones obstructing. They're the ones acting unconstitutional. Trump is being unconstitutional, man. He can't do what he's doing. Yes, he can. He can fire anybody he wants. That's not obstruction. That's part of the administrating of his duties from the Constitution. The Department of Justice has said so over the past 50 to 60 years. Under a plethora of administrations, both left and right. And they still hold that position. Except now. Now they're after this witch hunt just because they can't get rid of this guy known as President Donald J. Trump. They've tried every which way to Sunday, and they can't seem to do it. So what are they going to do now? They're going to go for a witch hunt and try to trump up all kinds of charges on him or anybody that they can get in his cabinet. If you're working for Trump right now, you better lawyer up and get some strong, powerful lawyers. I think Jared Kushner has already learned that lesson.
What if I told you that you could lose weight simply by drinking coffee? Change your coffee, change your life. Our gourmet estate-grown coffee is infused with powerful herbs that help you melt fat and keep you from feeling hungry for 6+ hours. Get results or your money back. Order yours today at skinnycoffeeshop.com. That's skinnycoffeeshop.com. Tea and water also available. skinnycoffeeshop.com.
Have a legal problem and need some serious legal advice? Then you're listening to the wrong podcast.
Any facts we say here are probably wrong. And any analysis of the law should not be followed.
There you go. Reasonable men are here to take a twisted look at the law.
Stack your hayride.
Learn in hand. Best name in law school.
Check us out on iTunes, reasonablemen.com, or on your favorite podcast app.
Reasonable men are back.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
You know, I listen to liberals as much as I possibly can. So you don't really have to. But this whole notion that all of this is Trump's fault. Everything is Trump's fault. They cannot be responsible for anything that they do. And Sanders makes this very clear that you have to do whatever you possibly can, even though he's already said, which he didn't mean, and I said this before, after he made that statement, he vehemently, condemns the action. Well, I think his action was, or what he really meant was, I vehemently condemn the action that you didn't actually kill anyone. You only wounded him. Now, he said this during a question and answer part of the program, and we've got to stand up and fight back. So what does that mean? So you have to go on, he says, and act in an unprecedented way. Think big, get involved in every way that you can. Stand up and fight back in every way that you can. You're already doing that. So is he saying that it is okay to go out there and riot and loot some more? Well, actually, yes, he is. I'm going to make the argument that he's saying that. Is he saying that more liberals should pick up their gun and start shooting Republicans? Yes, I think he's saying that. There's no doubt about it in my mind. Because they're losing everywhere. This is this whole thing, which is every time there's a special election, it all comes down. It's anti-Trump, the Trump slayer. So you got Ossoff down there in Georgia, who's now the latest and greatest Trump slayer. How is that a Trump? You pump $50 million into in advertising down there, and you want to say if he was a Trump slayer, do you think they would have needed all that kind of out-of-state money? The vast majority, 95% of the money that Ossoff had came from out of the state of Georgia. And remember, Ossoff doesn't even live in the district that he's running for. He can't even go into a polling place legally and vote. So that means he can't even vote for himself. But he's supposed to be the latest and greatest Trump slayer. One little district. Folks, I tell you, if Ossoff wins, it's going to be because there's going to be massive voter fraud down there, for one. And two, it's because of this massive out-of-state war chest that the Georgian people in this district have fallen for. It doesn't make Ossoff a Trump slayer. He's nothing but a puppet. How much you want to bet that he's going to vote 99% of the time the way the Democratic leadership tells him to vote? Guaranteed. Oh, sure, he'll be able to abstain from voting their way just to make it look like he's independent. They'll give him permission every once in a while to vote a different way. But understand, he's nothing but a puppet. He's a 30-year-old pajama boy that, you know what doesn't work in D.C.? How cute you are. That doesn't work in D.C. So I don't care what women think of this guy. Yeah, handsome, cute, whatever, adorable, doesn't matter. That doesn't work in D.C. When you get in D.C., you're in the swamp. You do what they tell you. Plain and simple. I mean, if anything, after spending all that kind of money, this guy should be walking away with this race. The very fact that he's not tells you that he's nowhere near being the wonderful Trump slayer that they're portraying him to be. That's just not the truth. So if you are down in Georgia, man, you better get on your you're in, what is it, the 1st Congressional District? If you're down there, you better get in there and vote, because they're trying to steal this election. Another one. And if they don't get their way, I guarantee there's going to be more violence, and Bernie Sanders is going to say, well, I condemn this, while at the same time he's telling you to go out and do that. Hypocrite? Yes, but that's typical of the left. Do you expect anything different? Well, tomorrow, folks, we've got the Intel report plus the Future Shock report, so you're not going to want to miss any of it. We're out of time for today, but we'll be back in 21 hours. See you then. I'm out.
Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. A shameless politician always plays her cards right. Got a crew for the fight on the airwaves. Lapdogs in the press keep their mouths tight. Cause a Clinton never needs to explain what, why it is what they done or with who. A real Clinton knows that they're entitled, and you don't get to know what they do.
What difference does it make?
For a Clinton, what's loaded in some fat Apple file? A Clinton plays the victim for promotion. A Clinton kills it off with a smile. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. A server full of secrets ain't no thing. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. Nothing ever hits with the sting.